When do we talk about the fucking shows and movies? Thanks for the F shot.
I don't know, but these arms are feeling chewed up.
Show me what you got.
We'll drink it if you say. Hello, failures. We're here. We're talking about you. We're here on Wasted Opinions with the topic of failed projects. So we're talking about all those projects, whether they be movies, video games, TV shows, heck, even like maybe like CDs, like albums that they put out, or comic books where someone had an idea that never came to fruition, or maybe it did, but it got so mangled that it just was not the original vision.
All mine are books. Shit, we can do.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about that today. All these, failures that we have in media. But before we get started, we'll introduce everyone here. He's a Slytherin in the streets and a Hufflepuff in the sheets.
So lazy. MussKeg.
Hufflepuffs are lazy? Is that
I don't know, isn't that the thing? They're
I don't know.
Easy going, yeah, easy going.
Oh, okay.
He's not magic, he's just tragic.
I'm CountryBoy.
And I don't know if I said I'm LewisLightning, but I'll say it again.
Drive it home.
Yeah. So I don't know, we'll do a shot first, because that's what we always do, and I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to forget. It's not bad, but it definitely has a burn to it. Yeah.
It has a burn to it.
Yep.
That was Hunch Punch.
40%.
Cool.
Again, I held that one in my mouth for the first time just to be like, what does it taste like? Did you start one yet? I feel like
Here, I'll start one here.
Okay.
Well,
Why not?
so failed projects, I was a little unclear. I thought it was ones that hadn't come out, not ones that had come and failed or anything like that.
As long as they were like just bastardized beyond belief.
Well, I didn't put any of those ones on, so I had a little bit of a tougher time then. But I'm going to go with a movie that really wanted to come out that I don't think is going to, and it's too bad because the first one that came out was really good, in my opinion. And it's R.I.P.D. 2.
I didn't know
There's R.I.P.D. 2.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's straight to video.
It's not Ryan
It's
Reynolds.
shit. Oh, fuck. I watched like 5 minutes of it.
So maybe that counts as failed, but
Yeah.
I really liked the first one. I thought Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds were hilarious together in it. Sure it was a Men in Black kind of rip-off, but it was funny. I was really hoping there was going to be a sequel to it. And there was talks that there was going to be an actual sequel, and
Yeah. I think I've been known for saying that I didn't care for the first one. I wanted it. For me, the first one was the failure. Yeah.
I liked the first one.
I wanted to so bad.
Though I did feel like it went a little bit too hard with the comedy. Like I think wasn't the fat guy always farting or something, the fat demon dude.
Was he?
But there's
I know he's the ground on walls.
There's definitely like the Asian guy they always point out with his banana.
That was Buzz from Home Alone.
not the Asian guy.
The fat dude.
The fat dude.
Oh, the fat dude. Okay.
Yeah, the Asian dude's he's basically the same Asian dude. in every movie.
That's Poe's dad in Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah. So big time Trouble in Little China.
He's in isn't
She is
Balls of Fury?
Yeah, definitely Balls of Fury. Yeah, he's the old Asian guy.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Henry Chow?
Yeah, Henry Chow.
Okay,
Henry Chow? Yeah, it's Henry.
I know it's like a very English sounding name with a very Chinese
Henry, you wouldn't think it, yeah.
It's like Pat Morita.
Yeah.
That happened a lot when people came, I think, from like Hong Kong, because Hong Kong was like English.
West meets
English.
Yeah, I
was
see the
like English.
westernization.
Anyways.
For sure.
Yeah.
So mine's gonna be a project, like a big project, a big movie project. It was multiple movies it was supposed to be, and that's the Dark Universe that Universal Studios.
Oh yeah,
wanted
that's a
to
good
do.
one. I didn't even think of it.
Because they basically only came up with one movie, and that was The Mummy, and it failed horribly. And you know what? The reason why it failed is because they're
Tom Cruise.
No, it wasn't Tom Cruise.
He did make some changes. I know that.
That wasn't the weak part of the movie at all. The reason why I think it failed is because they were too busy trying to plan ahead, and they were throwing in all these things about like all these Easter eggs of like all these things that they weren't trying to tell one cohesive story about the Mummy. They were like, okay, let's throw in Russell Crowe, who's going to be Dr. Jekyll, and guess what? He becomes Mr. Hyde. So there's going to be a movie about that in the future. Yeah. Plus, they're also going to be doing a Frankenstein movie in the future, and they're going to be all of these different movies that they're planning to do. I think Benicio, Benicio del Toro already played the Wolfman. He did that. That wasn't connected to this though.
No.
That was its own thing. But I think they were doing another Wolfman. They were playing. They had a whole lineup of movies. They had a picture of all the characters.
Yeah, I remember that. Like
all the actors. Yeah, the big photo shoot. Like they were planning this.
Yeah.
It was going to be the next big thing after the Marvel universe. It's like this is what it's going to be. And then the Mummy bombed, and they were like, well, we're going to kind of hold brakes on this a little bit.
That seems so preemptive when I saw that photo shoot. It's like, you only have one movie out?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even remember if it was out like at the time. But
part of the fun of the Marvel MCU was you didn't know who was coming.
I know. They did it completely backwards, which is what I hated about it. I watched the Mummy movie. I wanted to like it because I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to this whole universe, but they totally botched it.
Plus, they were going up against a really good The Mummy. The
True, yeah, you can't. That was like the campy, fun,
but it was really
horror
good
comedy.
Yeah.
Whereas this is supposed to be like more serious, not really horror stuff, but like actiony, and it didn't resonate with people, and
you gotta remember,
for good reason.
MCU had comedy to it too. Then I think that's one of the big misses that they did too.
Well, this one had a little bit too. Like Jake Johnson, I was a character in it too. I remember, Jake Johnson.
Yeah, I know Jake from New Girl.
Yeah, he's hilarious, and he was the comedic character in this movie too. He played like an undead friend of Tom Cruise's character, but it wasn't enough. It was just everything they did wrong pretty much for that movie. It was unfortunate.
Maybe I got the wrong impression, but wasn't Dracula Untold or Unbound or whatever?
Yeah, but that was actually not a bad movie.
I thought that was supposed to be it, but then it sucked, so they...
It actually wasn't a bad movie. It didn't do very well.
I like the look of him in it, but...
I would actually watch that movie again because it was decent. But I don't think that was part of the Dark Universe, though. I could be wrong.
They were definitely just doing a full-fledged reset with The Mummy, and then...
Yeah, I think The Mummy was the first one. And I know the Invisible Man came out recently, and that one did quite well, but I don't think it's supposed to be part of the Dark Universe either, because...
That one didn't even seem like a... I know it was called The Invisible Man, but it didn't seem like it was...
It's like a new modern take on it.
Yeah.
Well, since you guys both did movies, I'm going to do a movie one as well. Hellboy 3. That it was like in development for so long. And, I mean... I don't want to be like, I was excited because Guillermo del Toro was in it, and like he was in the first two, and it was amazing. So I was like, this is going to be good. And like just waiting, like, oh yeah, we're working on it. And it's just like, okay, when's it coming out? And then like,
Ron Perlman was all on board. He wanted to do it, but only with Guillermo del Toro.
And it was the thing where they kept assuring us that it was coming, and then it just disappeared. And I was like, well, what the hell happened to that? I don't know if you know any more of it.
It happens so many with those failed projects where it's the director tied to it that's the big thing, and then the director leaves and somebody else comes in.
But it's so strange because it was a successful first movie, more successful second movie. And the third movie never developed. Like, I feel like maybe...
And they left cliffhanger, too. Like, she was pregnant with his baby and like, whatnot. And then the Angel of Death or whatever talked to them and said about like something about his future.
It was supposed to be, the movie, from what I read, it was supposed to be that he kind of deals with being the new Satan or whatever. Like, he's supposed to be like the hellspawn that rules the, whatever, that nether world that they're from, and he brings them all forth. Like, he's been fighting against that the whole time. He's supposed to bring it. But... it just never materialized. And I feel, I don't know, that Del Toro got caught up in other stuff like Death Stranding or whatever other projects he was on.
Are you saying that you didn't like the reboot of the Hellboy?
I've never seen it, so I can't say I didn't like it. You've seen it. I mean, you got all the action figures right there. You're unboxing them next week.
Hellboy,
so
the character Hellboy was done very well, but by David Harbour, I thought he was great. That was about the only good thing in that whole movie. Yeah, so.
I'm gonna go with game. Sorry, John's not gonna be surprised by this at all, or Lou. But the Silent Hills PT demo.
Touche. That's a great pick.
One of the best horror games I've ever played. The best horror game I've ever played, and it had such potential, and it really got me amped up for what was gonna happen. And I know that he came out later with Death Stranding.
Project.
Yeah.
It's all falling apart for him.
That was because Kojima left, though. Not PT.
I think it was a few things.
But yeah,
it was numerous people.
But that was such a good demo. It was so unique. I mean, the demo, obviously, the game wasn't gonna be like the demo, but I know that it was gonna
proof of concept.
Throw the mind fuck at you, and
it was
just scare the crap out of you. So.
What I don't understand is like that, like unlike just Hellboy 3 that I mentioned, this was something. It was like if Hellboy 3 the trailer, you could gauge people's reaction by it. This was basically the demo.
Trailer.
Yeah, playable trailer for PT, and people were over the moon about it, saying how great it was. And then Konami was still like,
I'm just happy we got the end, like the ending of
Yeah, we got to see Norman Reedus at the end.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
A lot of people did, and that was another thing. You had no clue how to get to it. It was
You needed to go online to do a lot of the stuff, which was another cool thing about it.
Well,
But also, if it was a full game like that, I would not play that game.
yeah, I was gonna say like
The fact that it was just a playable trailer, that's the only reason why it works.
Yeah,
but I've
okay.
never played a game like
but
that.
they
No.
could have created that level of horror still in the game, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it surprised the hell out of me. It's still to this day probably my favorite of like the horror games that I've played.
Yeah.
And I think between the three of us, I probably played most of them. So I'm gonna go with video games since we're on video game round here. I'll go with BioShock for the PS Vita. So I have a PS Vita, and I only played like a handful of games for it. It wasn't a system that really resonated with me too much because there wasn't, the greatest of games. There were some good games on there, but they were pretty few and far between. But when I heard that BioShock, which is one of my favorite games on the PS3, BioShock 1, 2, and like what the hell's the one? Infinite, yeah. I loved all three of those games, and when I heard that their Vita game was coming out, I was like, yes, I am on board. I'm looking forward to this. And then you hear nothing. Ever since that E3, whenever the hell it came out, I was like, hearing nothing more about this. There's not even
That's the worst feeling.
Not even any images. It was basically what was his name came out because Ken Levine came out on stage.
Oh yeah.
I think he's in charge of the company.
Yeah,
He came out, held the PS Vita and said, "Yeah, BioShock coming" or whatever he said it was, and then that was literally it. There was no proof of there's no imagery. There was no images of what the game's gonna be. Nothing.
So it wasn't just a port. It was actually like a full-fledged.
They never said what it was.
Oh, okay.
They never said it was. I think it was supposed to be a brand new game.
Would you been just as disappointed if it turned out to be the same game?
If it was the same game, I wouldn't have been excited. No. If it was that's all it was, then yeah, I'd have been disappointed as hell. But the way that they made it seem, it was going to be a brand new. I think they might have actually said a brand new game, a brand new BioShock game. So I can't remember. This was like freaking 10, 12 years ago. I can't remember when it was. But yeah, so that was one of my biggest disappointments, and again, it never came to fruition.
So I'll follow up with another video game here. I'm going to talk about this one because I know you guys haven't played it, and I've mentioned it before. But Sleeping Dogs, when that game came out, it was like a Hong Kong GTA basically, but much more 70s kung fu vibe to it, where you're in the streets fighting crime and whatever. You're a cop that can kind of go either side of the law, right? Mm-hmm. So the sequel, it actually picked up a lot of steam. It got a good critical rating. It eventually picked up people in sales. Yeah. And okay, we're gonna make a sequel, and the sequel doomed itself because they got so excited by this push for a sequel that they were gonna have that they said, we're making an online multiplayer game for people to play, free to play and everything. It's called Triad Wars. So they made this. Not the sequel, but it was just a side project they worked on. Nobody was doing shit with it at all whatsoever. And then they tried to do some mobile phone game as well, and no one was. And then with Square Enix, so all this stuff around the same time they had Hitman and Tomb Raider, which came out, which were okay, but it's not Final Fantasy level of success. So they were we don't like all this Western games that aren't rising to that level. And when they saw the Sleeping Dogs stuff, they're yeah, we're shutting this fucking down altogether. So the guys got excited about it. They were planning about this sequel since the end of the first game. And they shot themselves in the foot by getting too overzealous, I guess.
Yeah, cocky.
And there was a lot of cool concepts about it. They were going to add a partner because you were an undercover cop. Yeah. You were going to be a partner who was more on the dark side because in the first game you're quite clearly a good morally good guy. But in the second one, they're going to give that opposite, mirror of you.
Is it as open world as the Grand Theft Auto games?
Oh yeah, I mean you're limited to Hong Kong.
Oh yeah, but is there better combat, fighting and stuff like that?
I would say so because you could actually train at different places like dojos, and you would learn combos. There was actual combos.
If there's one thing I would say that sucks about Grand Theft Auto is the hand-to-hand combat. It's just it sucks. It's basically non-existent.
It's brutal.
But so that was done in by their own.
Hoisted by their own
That's the word. That's the phrase. Yeah.
Okay, I got a game that is very near and dear to our hearts here at Wasted Opinions and may still come out, but I still, at this point, consider it a failed project because I doubt it's going to be good when it does come. Skull and Bones.
When, if it ever comes.
Actually, I do think it's coming out.
I think it is. I think it will
It's not
come
going
out.
to be good when it does.
A lot of positive
But it's not a
stuff
game I'm going to play. It's been like 10 years. We've talked about it on this show multiple times.
I'm going to call it a failed project for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's still, I love the idea of pirates. There's not enough good pirate games
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And
They've been working on this game since like Assassin's Creed 4 after that game.
it's been on my like honorable
Well,
mentions,
three,
I
I
think,
think.
since we
Or
started.
3, yeah.
games.
Probably was. Well, I know 4 was the piratey one, was it?
Yeah,
Was
but
it?
3 actually had the pirate, ship stuff first.
Yeah, it did.
And then.
But I don't think they
4
were working on Skull and Bones
Yeah.
until after 4 came out.
I honestly
So-
think it was like in one of my first like looking forward to and most anticipated
Yeah.
videos we did.
It's been on your list at least once.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been on it multiple times.
And it's a
or not.
great concept. If it would have came out the year that they said, or even like
100%.
5 years after that, I
Yeah.
might have still been on board. But now I'm like, that we're past that.
I'm just wondering, what's that Xbox game that came out, that free-to-play one? I
Oh,
wonder if that they took the sales out of their,
I know you're talking about. It's rare.
took the wind out of their
It's,
sales. Yeah.
That's not Sea of Thieves, right?
Yes, Sea of Thieves.
It wasn't
I'm
free to
wondering.
play. You had to buy the game.
I don't know if it's.
Oh, so maybe it was. I guess I'm thinking of Game Pass because
But it was a bit more kiddie too. But yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
It just, yeah, it was cartoony graphics. I don't know if it's kiddie.
Yeah, sort of cartoony graphics.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the fact that that game came out and it actually got pretty big, if maybe that took some of the wind out of their
Maybe,
sales.
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Maybe that's why it happened. That
Ball
way.
spit.
Ball spit. One of my failed projects, it might not be a surprise if you guys know me at all. You know that I love this guy, Nick Cage. Superman Lives is a movie that was supposed to come out.
Really?
I think it was back in the 90s, yeah. I think before even Superman Returns comes out, it came out with Brandon Routh. So it was, I think it was supposed to be written by Kevin Smith, I think there was two things he was told. Was like, he had to wear a specific costume and he had to fight a giant spider in this movie. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Seems so weird.
So we'll write a Superman story about that. And that's what it was. And they did a whole bunch of like concepts for his. If you've ever seen online, he's got these different suits that he was wearing. I don't know if he was going to cut his hair or not because he had long hair.
I always envisioned it long hair. I don't know why, but yeah.
He's every image you see of Nicolas Cage in his Superman outfit, he's got the
I'll have to
long
look
hair.
these up. Never heard of him before.
Wow, you should.
I've heard the
Oh.
movie. Like I remember when it was supposed to be
Well-
getting made, but yeah.
I'll let CountryBoy finish, but you could maybe see it somewhere.
Yeah, so exactly. You're probably never going to see this movie, but The Flash kind of did do an homage to it, at least, of what like the idea
What
was
if-
going to be. Like there is one point in that movie where you do see spoiler. Sorry, go back. I said spoiler. Spoiler to the Flash. You do see like a proof of concept of what would have happened in this movie of like Nick Cage battling this giant spider, which honestly that would have been pretty fucking cool. I think
Yeah.
it's really out there, but I think Tim Burton was supposed to direct it as well too. Which I don't know if I'm not as big of a fan of he as he is now, but like he did Batman, so like
yeah.
so that kind of feel for a Superman movie could have been cool.
Wasn't it supposed to be? I remember reading it was supposed to be Cerebro was the villain. I thought.
I don't know.
Well, not Cerebro. Not Cerebro. Sorry,
Brainiac.
not Cerebro. Brainiac. Brainiac.
Yes.
Brainiac.
Yeah. I think so.
Oh, here I thought it was.
Which
just
would have been
a
cool.
joke.
Like
Yeah.
that's awesome. They've never seen him in live action.
Yeah, but it was cool, like you said, to see him in the Flash movie. Like that was like, whoa.
As bad done as it was, like all the CG they did in that movie was pretty iffy, especially that scene. It was cool to see because I knew the history behind it.
Well, it makes sense. Like if there's going to be a movie where you could show possible futures and not actually have like the movie to support it, yeah, put it in there. Throw in this throwaway scene.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too bad it wasn't like actually Nick Cage and like a much better looking.
I have a couple.
Better CG,
I don't know if I
but-
have a better one to pick for my final one.
And I'm not even a huge Superman fan. I just know I would have loved to have seen that.
I'll take it. I'll take this final pick because I expected you guys, one of you, to say it. Star Wars 1313. Amy Hennig was working on it.
Yeah.
It was like a Star Wars. I don't know if it was open world.
I think it was. I don't know if it was open world, but you're like a bounty hunter.
You're a bounty hunter, and you got to play like that side of it. And like for the longest time, it was just rumors, whatever, right? And it was only after it was canceled that I personally saw like this trailer where it showed like
They
there
showed
was
some-
like wall climbing and stuff like almost.
Yeah, it was almost like
Uncharted,
Uncharted. I remember that,
Oh.
and it's Amy Hemming, which makes sense. 'cause
I
she's
heard
on
about it. I
Uncharted.
was doing some research on this, but like,
But it was like playing like if you're Boba Fett kind of
Yeah.
in the Star Wars world. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And you know, I don't know why.
I don't know if you were a Mandalorian, but yeah, you were
You're
bounty
bounty
hunter, and you had like a jetpack, and you had like
Yeah.
flamethrower. And you.
And the
Star
only
Wars is always
idea-
cool when you think of the non-Force side of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and it only got canceled as far as I know because once Disney bought like Marvel and LucasArts and everything else, they canceled all their gaming projects. Said, hey, we want to get away from all these studios that we don't know. Like we didn't make these deals,
Yeah.
so let's cancel all these projects and then we'll only do them in house, or not in house, but we'll make our own deals.
Which is like similar to like I know one of your favorite cartoons was like the Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That show was doing so
Yeah.
well, and then Disney was like, no, we're gonna cancel it and start our own Adventures TV show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's such stupid reasoning to do
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Because once you saw that, you're like, wow, they were so far along and they had such a good concept and idea,
Exactly.
gameplay, all
Yeah.
great. And now it's gone. Although that was it, Outlaws that they're showing
There's
now
a new one
Oh, yeah,
coming.
that one
out.
does look pretty sweet.
looks pretty
Looks
sweet.
pretty sweet.
So
That one's Ubisoft, I think, right?
yeah, Ubisoft,
It's
but
a
it
different developer, but
still looks good.
open world. It looks like.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that's definitely Ubisoft's kind of new bread and butter.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Okay.
you guys got any honorable
I
mentions?
can do an honorable mention for sure. If Kevin has
The
one.
Halo movie that was always supposed to be coming out that never
yeah.
did. I mean, the TV
It
series.
became the
was
series,
terrible.
I think. That's
And the
probably what
TV
it is.
series was terrible.
And
but,
like,
yeah.
wasn't
Is it? I have no idea.
What's the
It was
movie?
terrible.
The District 13 or District 9? District 9 was like the proof of concept for
Oh
that.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, one of mine will be just Spider-Man 4, the one that Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire were supposed to have the Vulture, which is I think kind of the reason why Homecoming used the Vulture as their enemy, because that was the idea. It was supposed to be the Vulture, and John Malkovich was lined up to be the Vulture, but I guess Sam Raimi had such a hard time with
Don't
3.
put a
and
dance movie in it.
The studio just did so much tinkering with his movie that he didn't want to work with them again. So.
Yeah.
I got two. I got Agent. It was a video game for PS3,
yeah.
PS4.
I had that on my
For Rockstar, yeah.
Rockstar, which eventually became Rockstar's North Project.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a Cold War spy thing, which never came about.
Yeah. Supposed to be a PS exclusive.
Actually, I think I heard that it was supposed to be like they renewed a license similar to it for. I don't know if it's still called Agent, but it's still maybe in the works.
Ooh,
So-
okay.
But no, it's not going to be whatever it was.
Yeah.
The other one was Mercs Inc., which was Mercenaries game. There was Mercenaries 1, Mercenaries 2, World in Flames. This is supposed to be the third one, which was like a sandbox. You know, you're flying around in like helicopters, picking up military vehicles, stuff like that. If you play the first two,
Yeah.
you get the concept of this, what this is supposed to be. But again, just never came around. Failed project.
I feel like video games nowadays, they don't announce things so far ahead anymore. I think they're a little more closer to the release date before they'll announce something, just because they don't want to fall into those traps anymore.
You get stuff like Skull and Bones,
But that was like 10 years ago. I said that,
Yeah.
like when they started that. I was
Beyond
like,
Good and Evil.
I'll say like in the next last 3 or 4
Yeah.
years maybe. I haven't seen that happen as
Give
much.
it another 7 years and it'll be 10 years.
Yeah, maybe Wolverine won't come out. I don't know.
But yeah, so that's all the failed projects that we want to talk about today. Where can we find everyone at on the left?
I am on Twitch, Twitter, PSN, and YouTube as CountryBoy_9, where I'll open up stuff like this. The Last Ronin! This is from TMNT. What a great story. Check out the comic book. Check out my figures. They're awesome.
I got one of those too.
I am on Twitch, Twitter, and PSN. Oh man, yeah.
That's what you
fun.
find.
That's great
That's where they are.
advertising, you know. How am I going to top that? I'm LewisLightning.
What a failed finish.
Yeah, I'm the LewisLightning on Twitch. You can catch me there, watch some great gameplay, and chat with me if you want. Failures out.